Welcome to another edition of the LR Talk Show, where innovation meets education. My name is Adasa and I'm your host with the most on the LR Talk Show. Today we'll be driving conversations around our country, Nigeria. 63 years after, Nigeria still battles political issues like political apathy, corruption, poor governance, bad leadership, and so on. Today in the room, I have a very passionate young man who is actively involved in politics, youth leadership, and everything that concerns our country, Nigeria. Hi there, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. And how are you doing today?
I'm fine.
So my name is Adasa. I'd like you to please introduce yourself to the viewers.
My name is Badmus Barana. I am from Osun State. I'm a global youth ambassador and the founder of Badmus Barana Foundation, a foundation which will focus on the SDGs goals. Quality education, health and well-being, and peace and justice. Yeah, and I'm also the National Association of Osun State's president in Ladoke Akintola University. Thank you.
Wow, did you hear that portfolio? I mean, I'm so impressed. So today, Badmus and I will be talking about revolutionizing Nigeria's future, public involvement, and open government. We are very quick to criticize the government, forgetting that the citizens also have a role to play in the economic growth and development of Nigeria as a whole. Yeah. There is no nation without its people, and there is no nation without its government. Every day as we try to criticize the government, remember to also criticize that citizen who never cease to reduce the prices of their goods despite the falling dollar. So Badmus, I would like to ask you a question.
Okay.
We all know that as a result of frustration, so many citizens have lost interest in politics.
Yeah, sure.
They do not want to hear anything about voting. They do not want to hear anything about politics. They are not interested in even choosing a leader of their own. So I would like you to please highlight the transformative power of active citizenship.
Firstly, I would love to say something about what political apathy is. The main reason why people have political apathy is it is because of our government. Right from time they told us that politics is a dirty game, but I don't want to believe that, because if we should sit down, the wise should sit down and allow the fools to rule. You know, what do you expect that kind of nation to be?
Right.
So a political apathy is not something that the leaders, the youth of these days should practice. We need to involve ourselves in politics. This is a new generation, Gen Z. Let me say it as an example. So we need to involve ourselves in politics. We need to participate fully in politics. Yeah, thank you. So I would love to say that we should take for instance Osun State. For instance, the speaker of Osun State is just 38 years, and he's doing very fine.
Well.
Yeah. Look at the House of Assembly. We have young and intellectuals leaders there. They are participating fully and doing good things in politics. So we should not have a political apathy. We should involve more in politics. We need more youths, reasonable youth, people that are passionate about the growth of our fatherland in politics, rather than leaving politics for just, let me just say, anyhow people
I understand. As for me, I also feel that if you are not actively involved in the processes in your country, you're not involved in decision making, you're not involved in the voting process, you actually have no right to complain. You can't complain about a leader that you didn't choose. I understand the plight of people saying that they are frustrated by the situation of the country, they do not believe in the voting process, they believe the elections are being rigged. But the change is in our hands.
Sure.
So I believe that if we want to really experience the change that we clamor for, then we must be ready to be actively involved in politics. You know, they say politics is a dirty game, but how about to make it cleaner?
That is true. Actually, I would love to say something about, you made mention of during the election, we vote, and unfortunately, the end of the election,
we might not be well pleased with the results.
The price of our hope. We keep hoping that the next government will do better, and unfortunately, we used to find ourselves in a situation where the same government will do the bad thing, continuous bad things and all like that. So people don't have interest in politics, like, because why will I go and vote for the people I think will do the right thing, and at the end of the day, probably the INEC will announce someone else as the winner, and it's really pay me and stuff like that. So people do not have they do not participate more in politics activities because they don't see the results for their votes. They don't see what.
So that is one reason why people do not want to participate
in politics again.
Right.
That is one of the reasons.
For me, I also think that we need to tackle this matter from the root.
Yep.
From the root. Whether we're talking about economic problems, whether we are talking about insecurity, we're talking about electoral malpractice, it can all be tracked to one root cause, and that is corruption.
Yeah.
So I would like you to please elaborate on the effect of corruption on the development of a society.
Actually, in Nigeria, if we want a stable Nigeria, we need to take some things in place. The first thing is accountability, and the second thing is transparency. I don't understand a political executive who will be in the National Assembly. They will allocate a budget for you to do a reasonable project in your community, and at the end of the day, probably you were given 500 million for a project. As time goes on, you will give those people in charge of the project to execute the project probably 200 million. Those people will also reduce it to probably.
I mean, it's a chain process.
Yeah, you get
from one person to another, from the top to the bottom.
How do you want a good project? For instance, look at our roads, our bridges, and a lot of things like that. Like those things are not quality things. Why? Because the money being allocated initially for
and not being spent.
Yeah. You get it? So we need to be transparent and accountable for each things we'll be doing in our government. Yeah.
As a citizen, I also think that you yourself need to be accountable to yourself. You also need to be transparent. At the beginning of the show, I mentioned that some citizens are not ready to reduce the prices in their goods, despite the fact that, we all keep dollar is high, and now dollar is no more high. Prices are still not reducing. It means we are the root causes of our problems.
Yep.
And every time we try to blame the government, corruption is not a thing of the leaders alone.
Yep.
Every citizen in Nigeria has had a role to play in corrupt practices, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Okay, for example, have you ever had to skip a queue because you know someone? That's corruption. Have you ever had to sell something higher than the price because you feel the person would pay? That's corruption.
Yeah.
So corruption needs to be tackled from the root, and that's from the grassroots level, not just tackling the government alone. People are really quick to criticize the government.
Yeah.
What about the citizens? We need to be actively involved in all of these processes of experiencing the change that we wish to see in our society.
Before you leave there, I would love to buttress on something. We should know that we want change. We want a better country, a better Nigeria. We should know that change begins with us. We keep blaming the government. They do not do this. We have bad roads. What have you done? What have you done? Have you participated in any community or development things? We have all these SDGs goals. What have you done?
Have you ever volunteered? Have you collaborated with an organization?
And you keep blaming the government for everything. Look at we need to pay the government to fix our road, right? But you keep walking in your street every day, and you have a pothole in your area. Why can't you just fill the pothole? Then you keep waiting for the federal government to do the same thing. And I was opportunity to attend a show program one day. He said he stopped dropping something on the ground right from the time he promised himself
that he was going to keep the country clean.
So imagine if every one of us do the same thing. We won't have anything like environmental hazard. Imagine we all contribute to quality education. The little thing we have, if we can get rid to all these people in the rural area to provide them the basic amenities, there won't be anything like educational crisis in Nigeria. Imagine unemployment. I can say that Nigeria is one of the countries that has the highest unemployment rate.
Definitely.
Yeah. Why can't we?
Even those that are employed are underemployed.
You see? Why can't we venture into agriculture? We have thousands of agricultural students graduating every year. We have lands. Go to Osun State. Go to Oyo State. We have lands. Why can't our government involve these students in agriculture? And we have a lot of things to make.
To still tap into
Nigeria.
And as for me also, I think that The little efforts matters. You don't have to be a politician before you make change.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a politician before you correct an abnormality in the society. You don't have to be a politician before you do something. Nelson Mandela once said that we must be the change that we wish to see.
Yep.
So if you must be the change that you wish to see, then your little effort matters. You mentioned filling a pothole.
Yep.
In fact, you don't have to be in politics. Sometimes you might just think that, okay, I want to volunteer for a non-governmental organization that is fighting against injustice. You've just played your role in breaking the chain of injustice in the society. Even if it means helping a victim of rape speak up, you've done your own part in ensuring that that chain of gender-based discrimination in our society is being cut off. You know, it goes on and on and on and on. Taking a leadership role in your school as an association president, your class governor, correcting things that are meant to be corrected means that you also have played a role, not just depending on the government alone. Active involvement, not just involvement, you have to be active, not passive involvement. We have to ensure that young people, whether old, young, male, female, have the opportunity. Now, talking about opportunity, I think the government should also do well in providing these opportunities for people to be a part of the government. You know, open government has to be kickstarted by the government itself. If the federal government does not support that, people contribute to the government. They want to do all the things by themselves. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
I think another problem we're having in the country is that the bridge between the government and the people.
It's too wide.
And it is not really helping.
So we really need to bridge that gap.
Yes, and the definition of democracy by everyone, we all know that it is
by the people, for the people, and with the people.
But that definition has changed.
Not by the government.
The democracy now is now the democracy of the people, right? By the people. And not for the people again, it is for themselves. Do you get? So the self-interest in politics is moving and increasing every day. The bridge between the government and the citizen is very, very weak, in which they have this self-interest. All they know is themselves, they provide from themselves, and that is
diverting public funds to personal funds.
It's not supposed to be. If we want a better country, if we want a better Nigeria, I think those are the things that we should
need to
look
tackle.
into.
Right. So now we're talking about open government, we're talking about being participatory, we're talking about active citizenship. Now, it means that there has to be collaboration between the government and the citizens. So what are some of the collaborations between the government and citizens that you think would work?
You know, we have a lot of private sectors. The country we are moving into now is that a technology innovation country. We have a lot of tech industry. Why can't our government
invest in them?
Invest in them. We have a lot of intelligent students graduating every year in computer science, go to chemical engineering, go to mechanical engineering. Why can't they organize a workshop? Because a workshop for these students, and to collaborate with private sectors and to involve all these students in all these things, it will be a gain for our country. We can be a country producing all this good television. We can all these Samsung phones and the likes. We have a lot of things we can produce as a country, not just focusing on oil and agriculture. We can be an innovationary country that will be producing all these technologies and home appliances.
So I think that as for collaboration between government and citizens, government needs to stop hijacking personal projects. You know, I have witnessed some collaborations that at the end of the day, the government gets to take the credit. So once the government is able to tackle that, I would forever stand a public-private partnership, because that is what we need to revolutionize Nigeria's future. You know, when you check countries in the world, developed countries on the global space, you would see that their governments encourage the public-private partnership with their citizens. So the Nigerian government was ready to collaborate with us. You know, there are many times that we walk up to the government, give them ideas as young people. This is what we wish. For example, now I'm an indigene of Osun State, and I have witnessed so many cases of young people trying to pull up stuffs, trying to pull strings to ensure that the country is a better place. But they have been rejected at every level of governance. From the House of Assembly, they are rejected. The state government rejects them. The federal government rejects them. So I think it also leads to a lack of encouragement on the part of the youth. So I would also ask you,
Okay.
as for inclusion, you know, this topic has been around for a couple of years.
Yes.
How best do you think we can encourage inclusion? I mean, female inclusion, youth inclusion, inclusion of people with disabilities. How do we get those kind of people to participate in governance processes?
I think the best way is to involve all these private sector, like I've said earlier. So the thing now is that if we want to include the gender, the females in politics, in government and all, like, we need to reach out to some people. The government, the executive, the federal government cannot reach out to the roots,
to the grassroots level.
To the grassroots. So we need to go down to the grassroots. We need to meet the local chairmen. We have a lot of talented
that's
people.
a very, very important point.
Yeah. We have a lot of talented people in rural areas, in the villages and towns, but the federal government do not have access to all these people. So we need to involve all the local root administrative, you get, so that they can improve the way
and more so, nothing can be tackled except it is tackled from the roots.
Sure. That is it. And another thing is that I think female participation in politics should be more encouraged in Nigeria, because I feel there are some things that females are best at doing, you get. And lately, I think we've been having a lot of females in
there's been improvements,
unlike before. And talking about the disabilities, I think I listened to a news some months ago that they want to be participating in all this political, and then it is really a nice thing, because they are disabled does not mean that they can't perform
have
well.
A say.
Yeah, they can't have a say. We all have a right for a decision making in our government. So these are the things that we should encourage. So how can we encourage this thing? How can we get rid of it? I think the first thing is that we can do all this. We should organize a summit, a conference that will involve a lot of people, regardless of your disability,
age, gender.
Yeah, we should call people together and talk, have a meaningful talk between our federal government, the executives, and the
problem is, would we have the support of the federal government? That is another problem on its own.
Yeah,
getting them to support initiatives like this.
Actually, I think the last conference we did at Osun State, the Osun State Youth Conference, and look at the turnout. Although the government supported us for the success of the program, but people do not turn up for the program. Yeah, people do not turn up. I think the problem is ourselves, not the problem.
And I also think people are tired of talk. They want to see action.
Action.
See, as for me now, you mentioned that we can organize a summit. Yeah. Yes, if we want to, when we talk about active citizenship, it means that active citizenship means that females are participating, males are participating, people living with disabilities are participating. So if we need to get people at the roots level to participate, we will not just go to them and talk.
Sure.
We need to show them evidence.
Action.
If it means sponsoring one person who lives with disability, if it means that we are supporting one female in this community to run for as low as councillor, you know that one is not talk again. Action. So that's why I said non-governmental organizations need to do well in ensuring that they are not just talking. They need to take action. How do we achieve all these action points? As a non-governmental organization that is advocating for good governance, inclusion, and all of that, we've had enough of talks. This is my 5th year, going to the 6th, being involved in community development, working with lots of organizations, including United Nations affiliated organizations. What I have noticed is that some of these organizations do more of talks. They want to gather people, talk to them. Tomorrow's summit, yes, it's all fine. I mean, it's beautiful if having summits, conferences, but I also think that we should focus more on actions than talks. So instead of things that organizations can do differently is, instead of regularly organizing talks, why not go to a community? Go to a community, pick somebody who has leadership skills, maybe a female. Now you're encouraging gender inclusion. Pick a female who you know possesses that leadership qualities but do not have the resources. Yep. Now I think there's an organization that does that, and I'm trying to remember them. I'm trying to remember them. Yes, new citizenship fellowship. I think recently they mentioned the Osun State thing. They mentioned it that if you are a part of the fellowship and you wish to run for an office position and you don't have enough resources, they will do their best to push you, to help you with resources. I think that is better than just talk. So I think we need to improve on leaving talk aside for now. We had enough talks. Nigerians have listened to conferences. We attend conferences all the time. What do we expect? What kind of change do we expect if all we do is listen to talks and not take action? Thank you very much. I mean, that was very, very beautiful. Yeah. So I also want to, just before we round up the show, I want to ask you one question.
Okay.
As for you as a citizen and as a future leader, someone who thinks of, heading a very important sector in Nigeria in future, what is that thing that you would do differently to encourage people to participate in politics and ditch political apathy?
I think personally, I would organize probably a platform in which the people at the local route will have direct access to me. Do you get probably a show, probably a
town hall meeting?
Yeah. Those are the things that we should do, because we are tired of saying something without seeing any change. We are tired of keep complaining, blaming, doing all those things without seeing results from the government. I will encourage to involve people in physical. You get physical or visual meeting between the grassroots and myself. And another thing is that we have something called empowerment. The thing is that if you are not employed or if you don't have money, nothing will make sense to you. Do you get it? We should empower people. Our youth should have what they are doing. It's not a must for them to be working in banks, to be working in the hospitals. Like I said earlier, we have technologies. We are into tech world. We can organize an innovation, a tech innovation for thousands of youth, so that people can participate in all these things. I think with that, they will see something that they can vouch for, something that what participating in government. And another thing that I will do is that I will encourage, we've written a lot of articles. Let me use this opportunity to say this. In Osun State, we do not have an industry. Do you know that?
Definitely.
An industry, and it's not good. We've written a lot of articles, social media, on our Twitter and all like that,
to call the attention of the government,
but nothing. It's nothing. That is why I said we should have a platform, a direct platform between the youth and the government. I think those are the things that I will encourage if I'm opportunity to be.
Thank you very much. I mean, forever, town hall meetings would be one way that I cherish so much for citizens to have access to the government. Yep. The power to shape Nigerians' future lies in our hands. Yep. And that is why we all must be accountable, we must be collaborative, we must be supportive, we must be participatory to ensure that we build that Nigeria of our dreams. That way we can, promote transparency, we can promote checks and balances. Like I said in the beginning, you cannot criticize a government that you're not a part of. Yep. And to be a part of the governance process in the country, you must vote, you must choose to be voted for, you must also ensure that you are participating
and not to sell your votes
in decision making. And most importantly, don't sell your votes for anything. Yeah. There is a popular thing that I always say years ago is Tobagbatuke or Dumerni Lufimake. You know what that means? If you're not a Yoruba watching this show, it means that if you sell your vote for 2,000 naira, you would cry for 4 years and even beyond, because that person might decide to extend his or tenure to 8 years. Yeah. Thank you very much for riding with us till this very moment. My name is Adasa and I remain your host on the LR Talk Show. See you next time. Until then, God bless Nigeria.
Amen. Thank you.